OFB Terminator Cheers said, what is it like having your life controlled by video game releases and charity of others 110% of the time? It's fine. It's great. It's the most consistently fun I've ever had doing any job, and it's actually the most stable job I've ever had in my life. 100%. When I had other office jobs and stuff, completely not stable at all. At any point, someone can just lay you off or ever fuck you over. But actually doing this has been the most fun job I've ever had, and people like what I do consistently enough, no matter where I do it, and how it changes over the years, that I'm able to do it extended period of time. Remember, I've been doing this for a living now since early 2011. So, yeah, 0 complaints. It's actually the best thing I've ever done. Anyway, Electron Cheers, anything's possible. I don't want you to rely on crowdfunding, and that's not a very stable livelihood. I hate to tell you, this crowdfunding is the most stable livelihood I've ever had in my life. Every job I've had before this was more unstable than this. It's 100% true. Whether it was a mall job, you know, at a food place, whether it was working retail jobs selling electronics to Best Buy or Circuit City, a life insurance job that I had, working for a bank, which was really, sadly, it was a predatory lender, which I didn't know when I got hired there, but a bank selling mortgages and credit cards, and then being at a helicopter place for 5 years doing helicopter support. None of those things were as stable as this. This is the best job I've ever had. It's the most stable, it's the most fun, and I get to be my own boss. Like, if I can do this for the rest of my life, I will do it for the rest of my life, because it's the most stable thing. This year, if I had chosen, alright, to stop doing this last year like I was originally going to do, because of COVID, I would have been unemployed this year, and I would have lost everything. I would have lost my house. I would have lost all my belongings. I would have lost absolutely everything this year if I hadn't kept doing this. So, this absolutely is the best thing I've ever done. And the truth of the matter is, this year taught me that relying on crowdfunding is more stable than anything else. It seriously is. Because you guys like the content so much, you support me no matter what. I really appreciate that. What the fuck is that? That's my employment history. Like, you see what I mean? With that history, how could I ever have planned on wanting to do something with my life? My life has been chaotic, going from job to job, being mistreated, every job being treated like a piece of data on a spreadsheet rather than a human. Every major company I've ever worked for mistreated me. So, how could I possibly say I had a roadmap of what I wanted to do if I wasn't a YouTube streamer or content creator? I never wanted to be a YouTube streamer or content creator. This fell into my lap as something to do when I was laid off from my job at that helicopter company. I would have loved to be a person who had a roadmap. And this was a stable roadmap of something that I could have done my whole life, and I would have never had the chaotic uncertainty that I had for my whole life. It just never happened. In fact, as crazy as it sounds, all right, as crazy as it sounds, this job that I'm doing now is the most stable job I've ever had in my life. What? Yes, even with YouTube falling apart, the destruction of my YouTube channels, the adpocalypse, all the fake shit that happens to me on a daily basis, like false DMCA claims, slander about me all over the internet, all the shit that affects me daily, chargebacks, all that stress and nonsense, this job is still the most consistent and stable job I've ever had in my entire fucking life. I've been doing this for 10 years. All right? I've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years. I've never done another job in my life for 10 years. Even though this job has evolved, for sure, right? At first, I was just doing videos offline, dicking around. Then I did co-op videos with people. Then I started branching out and doing other things like reviews of food, reviews of games, commentary videos on other things outside of gameplay. Then I did like something creative like Project 7. Then I got into the direct capture live streaming shtick. For 3.5 years now, I've been a full-time live streamer, and I put out way different content than I used to. Yes, I've evolved, but I'm still doing the same thing. I'm my own boss. I'm putting out gameplay and entertaining content for you guys on a daily basis, and this has been the most consistent thing I've ever done in my life. It's crazy, because I played that game. I went through high school and college intending to get a job and just have that be my career. I played by the rules, what my parents wanted me to do, and everyone told me this is what you should do in America to become successful. And I was mistreated. I was dumped, fired, laid off, and treated like shit everywhere I went. They just didn't care about anyone who actually wanted to work hard. They wanted someone who was basically a pushover or a kiss ass. And I'm never, you know, guys know me, I've never been one of those things in my whole life. It's one of the reasons why, you won't see me getting the Xbox Series X Advanced Console preview because no one's going to send me that shit because I'm not going to kiss Microsoft's fucking ass. You know, I don't do that shit. I'm an honest guy. I have been my whole life. The question is, if you had the option of obtaining a stable job that would support you, would you take it but still continue to do YouTube and Twitch as a hobby for side revenue, or would you rather continue to do this full-time and constantly struggle to make ends meet? It depends, because here's the thing. You say, getting a stable job that could support you. Any stable job would support me, but no stable job would make as much money as I do on stream. And that's just me being honest. Being on stream here is more profitable than having a 9-to-5 job, period. At least from entry level. Sure, if I had been in the job market for the last 10 years, and I was entering in a management position or something, then perhaps getting a job and jumping in like this would have made as much money as streaming. But no, there's no way that me just going out there to the job market and getting a 9-to-5 office job is going to pay as much money as what I do here on stream. Therefore, there's no point. You see what I mean? I would actually be like, Phil, why don't you just do that? Because it would actually hurt me. Actually, stopping doing this full time to go get another job would make less money. So it would actually put me in a worse financial position. Why the hell would I do that? You see what I mean? From Black Requiem, he says, hey Phil, do you ever miss having an office job? And if you were guaranteed to have a paycheck of a certain amount each week, would you recommend anyone trying to go down the same path that you went down? Here's the bottom line. I never quit my office job. I never gave it up. My office job was consistent. It was safe. I knew what money I would be making every month. I knew what I'd be able to have to pay the bills. I had health care, and I knew when I had to work. That was the bottom line. And that's kind of the good thing about having a 9-to-5 kind of boring office job is it's consistent, it's dependable, and it's there for financial support all the time, and you don't have to worry about crazy shit coming up. Oh God, who knows if a bill comes up if I can pay it, right? Unfortunately, you say here, oh, but would you take another job where you're guaranteed to have a paycheck? That doesn't exist. People have this misconception that a 9-to-5 job at a major corporation means that it's a cozy job, a comfy job where you have tenure and you're good. It doesn't exist. The only people who have tenure, and those are teachers or professors. That's it. Any job you work at now in America, at least in the United States, is not guaranteed. And I'm talking the lowest level service job, flipping burgers and making fries. I'm talking the mid-level customer service style jobs. I'm talking the upper echelon jobs. At any moment, you can get shit canned. Because in the United States, the economy tanked, and so many people out there now. There's too many people in the United States looking for employment who have college degrees like me who can't get jobs. A degree in finance, and they can't get jobs. Why? I have a degree in finance. I could do complex number crunching. I can tell you all about investments, and no one cares. Because there's too many fucking people now in the United States who need these jobs, and the jobs don't exist anymore because all the businesses went out of business. So, there is no stable job in the United States. It doesn't exist. Even if right now you've worked at a job for 7 years, and I like this job, and I do a good job, and I've got recommendations, and my bosses love me, and I'm on the right track, tomorrow you could get fired. Because you're expendable if you work in the United States. That's how these corporations view you. You are an asset. You are not a person. You are not a human. You don't have feelings. You are a number on a piece of paper. You are a little blip inside the database. And at any moment, they could delete that fucking blip to save their bottom line and make their quotas or do whatever they need to do to keep their company afloat. You're expendable at the expense of the corporation. And that is what corporate America is, and that's the disgustingness of corporate America. That's why there's such a huge movement in America. Don't support the giant overbloated stores. Go to the local businesses that care about the person, that care about the employees, that have relationships with them, that want them to succeed, that will give them, good hours, health care. That's why you have that movement in America. If you think if the corporations took care and cared about the people, that people would not want to work for them? No. And it sucks. Because I had that feeling. I worked for a major corporation that was ranked, on the stock market highly, all these things. And when I started working for them, they were making hand over fist ridiculous amounts of money. They had the best years ever. Within 5 years, the company tanked. Within 5 years, the management was so bad within the company completely flipped on its head and started laying people off left and right, and I was one of those people. Regardless of the fact that I had recommendations 2 months before I was fucking laid off saying, you've gone above and beyond the call of duty. Here's an award for doing it. Thank you so much. and then they fucking laid me off. That's the reality of corporate America. Would I ever fucking go back to it? Not unless I absolutely had to. Because I don't want to ever think that I'm fucking expendable. That what I do is worthless. That with all the years that I put into doing YouTube, that someone could say you're worthless, right? No, no one can say that. I've uploaded over 30,000 videos. I've had 6 years of my life that I've shared with everyone. I get so many overwhelmingly positive messages about people who say, thank you so much for doing what you do. You entertain us. You take our minds off crazy, nasty shit that happened in our real lives. And that means the world to me. Versus me, the 5 years that I worked at that corporation, and when they shit canned me, they basically said, fuck you, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. What the fuck? You know? I would much rather claw and scrape and find a way to work for myself, even though my healthcare is out of control and it's insanely expensive and I spent over $500 because my foot swelled up the last month and all this shit going on. I would much rather do that than have to be expendable. So there you go. Now, listen, being an adult sucks for a lot of reasons. A lot of great reasons to be an adult, and wow, I couldn't wait to be an adult. This is one of the things that sucks. Keeping track of your bills on a monthly basis, making sure that you're paying them on a monthly basis, not racking up the wrong kind of debt so that you end up not being able to pay your other bills. The good news is about your student loans is that most student loans are at a lower interest rate, especially lower than, say, a credit card. And unlike a credit card, they have a set amount of interest that you will pay over time. I don't know if you understand how a student loan is different from a credit card. A credit card, let's say you spend $10 on a credit card and it has a 2%, that's way too low. $10 on a credit card and it has a 10% interest rate. If you don't pay off that credit card in the first month, that means they're going to take 10% of the $10, so $1, so you owe them $11. Month number 2, if you don't pay off that credit card, they don't take that set amount of interest. Now they take 10% of the $11. So you owe $11 plus $1 plus an additional 10 cents. It accrues on itself. So credit cards literally accrue on their own debt over and over and over. And if you don't pay a certain amount on a credit card, you could have a credit card that you can never pay off if you just pay minimum payments. It's actually true. It's actually capable of being in that situation. The student loan, as long as you pay a certain amount every month, the amount will go down eventually. So at least in that regard, you don't have that to worry about. So what do I recommend? Number 1, stay the fuck away from credit cards. Credit cards are the worst kind of debt possible. If you can, pay cash for what you can every month. I know it's tough. I know because I was in the same situation and I ended up losing my job, and because of that I ended up having to use credit cards to pay for things for months on end. I went to Evo with nothing but a credit card. I racked up a ton of debt, which I paid off until just recently. I finally paid off my final credit card debts and I was so relieved. But it is very, very bad to get racked up credit card debt. It hurts your credit score immensely, by the way, to have massive amounts of credit card debt. So that's number 1. Number 2, you have to be organized, okay? You have to design a system so you don't miss a payment. Whether it's you have a calendar, and on the calendar you write the due dates of each bill. Whether it's you have, my process was, and I know this is silly, I demanded that any bill that I owed, that they mailed me a physical bill. Because the physical bill, I would make a pile of them in chronological order, and as my money came in, oh, what bills do I have that are due this week? And I would pay them off. If I didn't have those physical bills in front of me, I might have completely forgotten about that stuff if it was all digital and electronic, and I might not have paid it. You might want to do a Excel spreadsheet. How much money you make on a week or a month, whatever it is that you bring it in, how often you make money, what bills are due at one point of the month. That way you have a breakdown every month and you can see, oh, I have this much extra income that I can go spend on going to the movies or on something for the place or on take my girlfriend out to a nice dinner, rather than not knowing. The worst thing you could do is not know how much money you have and how much you're bringing in, because that's when you get into a tough position. I only have enough money for the rent, the electricity, the phone bill, or my student loan. Which do I pay and which I don't? And obviously it's going to be the student loan, because that's the one that you already finished school, so who gives a fuck, right? I do know that when I was younger, and I don't know if they still do this, they have special deferral programs where you can defer your student loans for several years. I think I deferred mine for 2 years after I graduated from college. So I found a job and I was making money. I used that money to pay the student loans 2 years after I had originally incurred them, and there was no penalty for that. Maybe you can take advantage. There are federal assistance programs similar to that, but I don't know what's available right now. I hope that at least some of that advice helped you out. yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. These contributions are mandatory. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. These contributions are mandatory. Show me the money. Free. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money, yeah, yeah. These contributions are mandatory. Tipping me helps me more than anything.